All right, well, that's the news from the Valley.
Okay.
So who's our first guest?
Well, our first guest, as I said earlier, Aaron Levie. He's the founder and CEO of Box.net. He joins us already here in the live studio. So, Aaron, welcome very much.
Hello, how you doing? Great, great Silicon Valley jokes. Like those a lot.
Well, you like to take a few of your own little shots at Microsoft.
No.
And I'm just wondering, like, did you have a bad experience as a child? Did they steal your lunch money? Why are you so angry at Microsoft?
Actually, I grew up in Seattle, and I think maybe Paul Allen's mega yacht like ruined my swimming experience one too many times. So
only when the helicopter was taking off from it, they went right.
Yeah, only when they brought in the yacht on the yacht that they would do. So. Microsoft is an amazing company. I just think that in the past kind of 5 to 10 years, they haven't really responded to the market changes that now exist in our organizations. And when you look at how people want to share information, how they want to connect their data and their devices, they really have not responded and solved today's problems that businesses have.
Well, one of the questions I have is that, if you take the Microsoft stack, which is, typically SharePoint, you can add some of the social accoutrement with other add-ons like NewsGator. There's some cost involved. Are you guys sort of coming in as, not only a real solution to the problem that's integrated, but also something that undercuts the cost? Is that the attraction point for Box?
There's a couple things. So in the first wave of the cloud, what we saw is basically a reduction of cost because you could take software and deliver it over the web and have all this efficiency because we manage the infrastructure, and so we can do things at scale and get economies of scale with our technology. And that was really important. But what people realized was over time, the true cost of ownership of the technology was also dramatically less. So what's really interesting with SharePoint is for every dollar that's spent on SharePoint licenses, there's another $8 spent on all of the costs to maintain SharePoint, to integrate SharePoint, to deploy it and manage it in your organization. And all of that effectively comes for free with Box because we deliver it as a service. And on day one, you're getting this technology right over the web that you get to use instantly. And so that reduction in cost can tend to be pretty dramatic, where some customers pay us millions of dollars less than what they would be doing for Microsoft, which means that they can go save that money and spend it in more competitive and compelling areas of their business.
Well, I think that's a really good kind of setup for maybe your elevator pitch for Box.net, but you're making comparisons to SharePoint. A lot of people might think that Box.net is a Dropbox competitor. Show us, we've got a little demo here, show us actually how it works. Why is it different? Why is it better than just cloud-based storage?
Yeah, well, so the one thing we like to say is that Box is basically what SharePoint would be if it worked. And what we do is we make it really, really easy for businesses to share and manage and access files from anywhere. So there's obviously a lot of consumer tools out there in our businesses and in our personal lives. And we take a lot of the ideals from the consumer web. So really easy ways to share information, really easy ways to connect your data, but bring that into the enterprise and do that in a way that's secure for organizations. That's why we have over 82% of the Fortune 500 using Box. We have over 100,000 organizations that are on the product. And that really is due to the scale and security that we've been able to embed into the product.
Before you go into the demo real quick, when you talk about the penetration, is that penetration at the department level, or are there people who are, so is this sort of like consumerization of IT? They came to know Box through the shared storage, but suddenly discovered other tools that would be useful to their jobs, and therefore now they're kind of elevating the presence of Box in enterprises? It's
a little of both. The really cool thing about our technology and this whole category of technology, so we have implemented a freemium business model, which means that users can take our technology and use it instantly for free at work. And so we tend to see a lot of penetration at the user and department and kind of team level, all the way on up to large parts of organizations. So Procter & Gamble implemented Box for 18,000 people in their business. So you really have a wide spectrum of how the product gets used and at what scale in those organizations.
And it runs on mobile platforms as well.
Yeah, so and we will get into the demo, but the really cool thing about kind of what we're doing, and I think a lot of cloud startups in general, is that we're building for mobile and web at the same time. And we're really focused on making sure you can have an integrated experience on the iPad, on the iPhone, on Android. If you're one of the sort of few dozen people out there that's using Windows mobile phones, you can use our HTML5 app on that device. So it's really, really easy to get to your content from anywhere. Versus if you look at what Microsoft or other players are doing in the space, they're very narrowly focused on their own platforms, which is not a very kind of customer-centric approach to this category.
Let's take a look.
Yep. So The really basic idea is that you should have access to all of your information wherever you are at any time. And so we basically give you full visibility into what's going on with your content. So this is my updates tab. You can basically think about it as a reverse chronological view of all of the things that are happening in my business. So I can see when people preview content or when people upload new versions of information.
Sexy database plan I saw in there.
We like to keep it fun even when we're talking about things like databases internally. So we have a really cool project with that. I can see when people upload information and update information. So we have live notifications that happen on the service. So it's really about how do I give you an instant view of what's going on in my business, and then people can actually communicate and collaborate around this content. So I could add a comment really easily with this, and if I wanted to add some information to the slide deck, I could do that very easily. So that's the update stream. And then we have obviously the sort of complete view of all of my information, which is basically the all files view. And this is a sort of a view of all of the data that I have access to. That's both my information, but also the information that I'm collaborating in and that has been created by other people. We also have a full text search engine, so I could search within all of the information in my box. So in my account specifically, I have about 100,000 files across my data and the people that I'm working with. And so to be able to search that instantly across all of that data without having to install any search engines or search appliances it means some very powerful
Does that search
benefits.
the metadata alone, or do you also search into the files themselves?
Yeah, so we'll search within the content, within the data, as well as the meta information. So if I had a financial agreement or a financial report from 2006, within 1 second I could pull that up directly from any device. So we have an iOS launch that's going to be coming out pretty soon, which brings that integrated search experience as well to that device. So how do you get to your information from anywhere in which you're working? And then finally we have a whole application ecosystem. So once you have your data stored on Box, how do you connect that information up to the other devices, to the other platforms, and to the other software that you want to be able to work from? So whether that's NetSuite or Salesforce or Yammer or Chatter or Jive, any social platform or any other system where you want that data, we want you to be able to work from.
You guys talk a lot about open, and you've recently made some comments, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, about activity streams and open social maybe not being the right way to go for sharing activity streams between these different platforms.
Well, I think the space is very early, and I think we're still trying to figure out what syndication and federation of data is going to look like in the enterprise. You know, we sort of figured that out in the social world and in our consumer web because Facebook just had such great dominance in the category. In the enterprise, things are tending to split off and fragment a little bit more. There's not a single clear leader. There's actually different kinds of solutions that businesses want to be using. And so we have to have a really, really easy way that we can federate and syndicate the updates that you're doing on Box to the different platforms that you're using. And we work with a lot of different partners to make that possible. No specific single standard has emerged as sort of the leading way to do that, and we think in time that will happen because it'll increase innovation.
And another reason those standards I think are required is because when you're working with other companies, which is happening more and more these days, you're partnering with them and you need to monitor the same activity stream. You don't want to force them onto the same technology that you're on. So you need to federate. If they've picked, for example, Salesforce Chatter, you want to be able to federate your activity stream from Box with Salesforce Chatter rather easily.
Exactly, and the cool thing about the cloud, and this is really, I mean, this has sort of existed as I think a philosophy for some time, but really the cloud makes this possible, and actually, you know, we both have a background in this on the mashup side, but really we're seeing the creation of instead of vertically integrated stacks, rather horizontal applications that can work together because of APIs, because of openness and web services. So instead of going to Oracle or Microsoft, which wants to sell you the entire stack of technology, whether it's SharePoint and Exchange and Office and their business dynamic products, they want you to buy everything from them all at once. And we see a world where people want Salesforce and they want Workday and they want NetSuite and they want Yammer and they want Box, and how do you make that all work together? So you have to have openness, we have to have standards, and we have to be able to integrate these applications together.
We have time for one last very quick question. What are you doing with all the money? You got $81 million in additional venture funding on top of $80 million that you had before. Where are you spending it?
Yeah, so we're not buying any boats or anything too crazy with that. When we looked at our strategy and how big the market is, we realized that there were a lot of areas that we need to invest in between engineering and sales and our go-to-market around our platform. You know, Microsoft has raised more money than us, and so they do have more to go to bat with, and we want to be able to get our product to market in as competitive and compelling of a way as possible. So you'll be seeing us focusing a lot on our platform. There's a lot of really interesting things around taking the Box platform into different verticals, so healthcare or finance or pharmaceutical companies, where they can build applications for their business, and that's going to take a lot of work on our engineering and platform side to do so.
Well, Aaron, Levie, thank you very much for joining us here
Thank
on
you.
Valley
Great
View.
show. A lot of fun.